This past Sunday was the first Sunday of the Advent season. And at St. John's this year, our focus in Advent is on the themes of longing and belonging. Advent really is a season of longing for the coming of the one who will bring hope and peace beyond what we can accomplish ourselves, longing for deliverance from pain and grief, longing for forgiveness for what we have done and what we continue to leave undone in making this world look more like God's coming kingdom. In the reading from this past Sunday, for the first Sunday of Advent, we are urged to keep awake to what is happening in our world. The reading from the Gospel of Matthew hit me for its relevance to our own time. In it, Jesus describes signs to pay attention to as we wait expectantly for God's salvation to come. He says there will be a time when people will be just going about the everyday tasks of their normal lives, and suddenly one will be taken and another will be left. They'll be going about their work days. One will be taken and another is left. Or their meal preparations. One is taken and another is left. I couldn't help but trace a line between this sign that Jesus describes and the ongoing devastation of gun violence in our society. Just in the past 2 weeks, there have been several instances. On Saturday, November 19th, it was 5 people at an LGBTQ-friendly club in Colorado Springs. Patrons just out for a night on the town, enjoying themselves as maybe they do every week, seeing friends, dancing, when suddenly one person's life was taken and another was left. Last week it was employees at a Walmart in Virginia who punched in for just another day on the sales floor when suddenly one was taken and another was left. And we're sadly all too familiar with the numerous instances of students just going to class when one is taken by violence and another is left. We long for an end to such random and senseless loss of life that's become so frequent that we have to work really hard not to become desensitized to it. But Jesus urges us to keep awake to these acts of violence that defy God, and to listen for where this world needs the salvation of Christ the most. In one of the other readings last week, the prophet Isaiah traces out a vision of a time when all the people of the earth will beat our swords into plowshares, turning our weapons of war and death into instruments that will provide nourishment and life. And in Christ we say this prophecy will be fulfilled, ushering in a kingdom where life is given the highest value and all are protected and provided for. This Sunday at St. John's, we will mark the second week of this season of longing with rituals around Blue Christmas, acknowledging that this earthly life does bring times of joy but also sorrow, times of loss as well as promise, times of despair and hope. If you're here with us, maybe you'll light a candle for grief in your own life, or maybe you'll light a candle for grief in our world. Keeping awake to where the world groans and longs for God's healing and saving touch is the first step of living our faith in the world, trusting that we and this world belong already to the one who will bring the peace that we fail to bring.